Greetings, friendos, and welcome back for another Oktoberfest video. For today's video, I've got a little something different for you all. So, pardon. So, as you may have noticed, most of the last couple of videos that I've been posting have been food-based. And well, for today's video, I thought I would dig into something different. Yes, I would sink my fangs into another little thing that we usually take care of looking at during this Oktoberfest season. And that would be spooky collectibles. Yes. But today, we've got something a little special. This one is an uncommon little piece from back in the 1990s. Now let me double check myself before I double wreck myself. Let's see, yes, from the good old 1990s. So as a lot of you may know, and as a lot more of you may not know, the 90s was kind of the renaissance for the spooky and the creepy and eerie things, especially considering this was around the time of one of the big anniversaries for Universal's Monsters. Pardon me. Sorry. Just had breakfast a little bit ago and something's just tickling right back there. I'll be fine though. So one such series out of all of these spectacular little series that came out at that time was a series called Little Dracula. Now, I don't know too much about this series other than the fact that it appeared on Fox Family when that channel was still around for a brief period of time, along with the Ketchup Vampires, as I mentioned in the very first Oktoberfest video from last year. And so, without further delay, I present to you Little Dracula himself in his vampire coupe. I will be honest with you, I had forgotten almost entirely what this vehicle is called. So, if you will all grant me just this one moment to hop on my phone and look up what that's called, I would be eternally grateful. Ah, here it is. The vehicle itself is called the Drakster. And just so that you can see that I'm not pulling your chain, there it is, listed on eBay, mint in the box. Now hopefully you all will forgive me for this not being a box of yesteryear type video, but I will be completely honest with you all, I couldn't find the box. Somewhere over the last year it got squirreled away or taken somewhere, potentially even recycled, and it's just gone. I can't find the blasted thing. And when it comes to the Little Drac himself, this particular variant is called the Drak Attack figure, because when he was first released, he had a little battery that would go in the back of his head here, if you see that circle there, and you would push the back of his head and it would light up a little teeny weeny little light bulb inside of his head. Oops, it got stuck. Unstick. There we go. But anyways, he had a little tiny light bulb that was inside of his head that would cause his eyes to light up whenever you pushed his button. Unfortunately, this doofus right here tried to replace the battery with one that was just a little tiny bit too big and burnt out the light bulb. I'm still kicking myself over that, but I'm sure I can replace that light bulb somewhere, somehow, sometime. Regardless, as stated moments ago, we have Little Dracula here. These were put out by the company Bandai, who a lot of you may be far more familiar with, having put out those Power Rangers figures back in the day. Personally, as stated in the Oxmas video, it's far too early to be referencing that, but it's the only thing I have to reference. I'm not a huge fan of the Power Rangers. Alpha Alpha 5 gets kind of a pass because he was voiced by one of my all-time favorite voice actors, but the rest of the show can go away. And all the subsequent series that came after it. Regardless, and my apologies to any of my viewers, to any of my subscribers who happen to like Power Rangers, more power to you. There are some villains in that series that I will admit are actually kind of creative, and there are some things about the series that are interesting, like the theme song. I will not fault you for liking the theme song. I myself enjoy the theme song. But as a kid, I can remember changing the channel to Looney Tunes or Nickelodeon after the Go Go Power Rangers was over. Because then we'd get the stupid high school drama with the teens on screen. It might just be my own personal bias because my brother at the time, and still to this day, is older than me, and he was a jerk. He and his friends were absolute shitheads, I'll put it that way, to myself and my sister, just because I was the youngest in the family. And because of that, I could never get into stories where the main protagonists were teenagers. It's like, why am I rooting for those jerks? Granted, in the show they weren't jerks, but in my head all teenagers were jerks because of my older brother. That's the reason why I don't like Power Rangers all that much. I far preferred Beetleborgs, where the main characters were people my own age, were children. And of course, you had the spooky monsters and stuff. That was an added bonus because I was enamored with the spooks of the 90s. The Goosebumps, the... give me a moment to remember, the Toonsylvanias, the Erie Indianas, the Tales from the Crypt Keeper. Anyways, that was a ramble that was completely off topic. So we're back to Little Dracula. There was actually a small series of these figures put out by Bandai at the time. Unfortunately, they are pretty hard to come by, and I got really lucky to get Little Dracula here, along with his Dragster vehicle. Especially at the price at which I got them. This stuff's blown up in the last couple of months. But anyways, so as I was saying before, his action feature was they would push this button on the back of his head and the battery would contact the light bulb and cause his eyes to light up and flash. He also came with a few accessories, which, as is obvious, I have none of at the moment. And the vehicle was sold separately, if you were not aware, which you probably were not. Some very interesting things about the vehicle, being that it is based on vampiric characters and such, is that when you pull on this little lever on the side here, it pops out a pair of fangs from under the hood. And you can use it as a little puppet. Blah, blah, I want to suck your motor oil. Blah, blah. And then, of course, because it's vampiric themed, when you push these little buttons here, you get wings, and you can pretend the thing is flying around. Also, if memory serves, yes, you can go Back to the Future style and fold in all the tires, thusly, so it actually does look like a flying vehicle of some sort. Now, there's not a whole lot more to talk about with this vehicle, because, well, it is an awesome vehicle. Let's get into some of the details once I get it transformed back into road mode. Or should I say land mode. Alright, some of the interesting features are, obviously, the fangs. And I don't know what it is, but I just love that old mechanical spring sound. Like, listen. Just something about that resonates with me on a deep level. And that's not supposed to be a pun, although it very clearly is. Another thing that I have to give credit where credit is due is just the amount of skulls on this vehicle. Every single hubcap, a skull. These nice little accents up here by the headlights. Skulls. And then if that wasn't good enough, they threw one more in right there on the trunk. and they're all chrome. Chrome skulls are awesome. That may make me sound like some kind of weird fool, but I think they're cool. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, because the toy himself no longer works, due to my own stupidity, I can't really talk too much about him, although I suppose we can get into the details of the character. One thing I love is just how happy he looks, with that expression, with the people's eyebrow going on, you know, the raised eyebrow. He looks like he's getting ready to do something fiendish and ghoulish. One thing I will have to fault the people who made this for is the fact that his arms aren't very well articulated. Like, you can put them up like this, and you can turn his hands at the wrists, like that. You could put them up near his head to make it look like he's going like, ah, like he's having some kind of a weird freak out. You can put them like this, like he's going, what? What? What did I do? He has better articulation at the legs, however. They seem to be on some form of a little ball and socket joint, as you can slightly move them from side to side, and you can rotate them up into a seated position thusly, so he can actually sit in his automobile with a little bit of work. Let me just fiddle around there. There we go. And I will say that he looks fantastic, or should I say fangtastic, on display. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that there wasn't more that I could talk about with this. I think to make up for it, even though I risk getting a copyright strike, right here for you all to enjoy, for y'all's enjoyment, enjoy the introduction, the main theme to Little Dracula. My treat.
Here's this little Drac, he's a bat, he's a cool cat with supernatural powers. Imagine that. So find out what it means to be a cool vampire with the family. Little Dracula.
Now, as you can see, that was part of the reason that I kind of developed a thing. Kind of developed a liking for this show, because that was a good intro. The music might have been a little but dang if that wasn't a good hook. Anyways, if you like what you've seen here today, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that little bell icon to be notified of future videos once you are subscribed. You'll be glad you did. If you think my videos would be something your friends would be interested in, feel free to share it with them. And if not, share it anyway. You could be surprised. And with all of that out of the way, this is your old buddy Oxtoberfest saying, bleh. And I'll see you in the next episode. Later. God, I'm lame sometimes.